Hello everyone, I'm Meredith Devereaux, and I'm going to tell you about media literacy. I'll break down what it is, why it's important, and how we can all be better at it, especially in this day and age. Media literacy can also be a matter of life or death. I'll explain about that later. First, a little bit about me and why I'm passionate about media literacy. This is a picture of me at work. I'm a news producer, and every day I'm determined to go into work and deliver the facts in a clear and unbiased way. My goal is to lay out the news in a way that viewers will be able to come to the conclusion for themselves. We all have a family member that posts controversial, political, or COVID-related headlines on social media. For me, that's my aunt. It stirs up controversy and fights between family members, and they all break out in the comments. And so to help my whole family out, we're all going to need to be more media literate. So what is media literacy? It boils down to being able to access, analyze, and evaluate media in several different ways. This includes taking the time to think about the news story you are reading and asking questions. When you're reading them, you also want to be able to ask yourself these questions. They are, who wrote it? What source does the story cite? Where does it come from? Does it tell the whole story? How does another media outlet frame or tell this story? You want to ask these questions because many believe news outlets are on a political spectrum. They think outlets like Huffington Post and MSNBC are nicer to Democratic politicians and policies, while Fox News and Newsmax are nicer towards Republicans and conservative policies. Many think about network news being just left of center, and then news outlets that have been in the center aren't really in the center anymore. Media literacy can also debunk conspiracy theories like the flat earth theory. There are hundreds of YouTube videos where many believe that the earth is flat like a disc and not like a globe. Despite the laws of physics, pictures from space, and research proving the world is in fact a globe, a small group still gets together every year to talk about why they believe the world is flat. So now let's examine sources. Remember in history class when we first learned about primary and secondary sources? Those primary ones come from the source. They are data or direct quotes from documents or speeches. A secondary source is like a product that uses these primary sources to interpret or analyze the issue, just like how journalists work. They go to sources like leaders or officials for information and comments to a story. The journalists then interpret and analyze the facts. During this time, they'll use quotes from their interviews that they hopefully don't take out of context. They will then weave this together into a story and share with viewers and readers. This is where you come in. You are the reader or viewer consuming news, and you have to put on your critical thinking cap. This is what media literacy does. It turns us all into critical thinkers who start asking questions and examining these journalists' reports. You also want to be conscientious of who is writing the story and how it's framed. Remember to be even more critical of traditional news outlets like network news and big newspapers. See if you can spot the difference between their coverage and how MSNBC or Fox News frames the issue. It's a lot, I get it, and it's not all easy. In fact, it's a lot of hard work to be critical and be media literate. But with practice, it will become easier and you will be more informed about the issues you care about. You'll also get faster at searching for articles and finding primary information so that you can come to your own conclusion. So why does being media literate matter? There's a lot of information out there, and many times we don't all agree on what is right and what is wrong. These differences can be divisive. Having political disputes doesn't just happen at a holiday dinner anymore. It's on social media for all to see. Right now, media literacy can also be a matter of life and death. There's a lot of information out there about the COVID-19 vaccines, and there's also a lot of misinformation. Being media literate can help a reader differentiate between what is true and what is fake news. It can also help eliminate the mistrust associated with government agencies like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC is just one of the primary resources for COVID-19 vaccine information. Instead of a reader basing their decision off a news report, they can just go straight to the source. They don't have to physically go to their headquarters in Atlanta. Instead, the reader could find what they needed on the CDC's website. The website clearly states what it knows about the vaccines and what it does not know about the vaccines. This gives the reader a lot of information to make their decisions. Here's the CDC's first point. It's that the vaccines are safe and effective. Also on the CDC's website are a list of frequently asked questions debunking many myths. Preventing a misinformation outbreak is also part of being media literate. These rumors are like wildfires on the internet and can exponentially grow within hours. Those who are media literate can spot this and stop it in its tracks, supporting facts from reliable primary sources. So how can we be better? First, let's start by using our heads. If the headline is too outrageous or the phrase "it seems too good to be true" comes to mind, it probably is. Also, be sure to check how other news outlets cover the same event. You might learn something, or you might find there's a consensus about what's going on. So to recap, being media literate means critically thinking about the news we consume. It means knowing where the news is coming from and knowing how other news outlets frame the story. Being media literate can help save lives and prevent the spread of misinformation. It can also prevent conspiracy theories. It makes us come to our own conclusion rather than using the talking points. So thank you for listening to my PechaKucha on media literacy. We now have the strength to stand up to misinformation and fake news online and stop it in its tracks. So the next time your family member posts an inflammatory headline on social media, you can calmly and politely persuade them to critically think about the article